Well, as you can see, it's story time. I hope you liked the last one, and we're ready for another one. I wonder if you've got an idea what this one might be all about. As you can see, I've come prepared for it in so many different ways. Things for when it's warm, things when it's cold, and when it's wet. So, what do you think our story's about? That's right, the weather. We've got a story about Miles and his weather bureau. So if you can sit down, and I hope you'll enjoy it. It's a good story, and then we'll see what the weather's like here today. So I'm just getting out. As you can see, I've come prepared for it, and I've got you with me on my tummy, and you got it there, and they can see there you are. You've filled me in glorious techno. And we've also got Phoebe with us as well, if you can see her on the picture. And we're looking forward to seeing her this weekend. So enjoy, Max and Ronya and Phoebe and anybody else who's watching. So it is Miles and the Weather Bureau.
Miles was a pain in the neck, but you could not help liking him, for life was never dull when he was around. One day, feeling bored, Miles decided to visit the council dump. There was always something interesting old junk to be found in the heap of rubbish on the tip. Miles knew he was not really supposed to play up there, but he never did exactly as he was told. He picked his way through the usual pile of old tyres, empty old oil drums, gas cookers and pram frames. All in all, it was a very dull collection. Just as he was about to give up, he saw an old piece of furniture high up on the back of the pile. He scrambled up and found it was an old bureau in quite good condition. "This would be very useful in my junk shed," thought Miles, and he tugged and pulled it down from the pile of junk to take it back home on his cart. He was pretty tired by the time he had loaded the bureau on his cart and dragged it all the way back. However, he still had the energy to have a good look at it. As he ran his fingers over the fine wood of the drawers, Miles was surprised to find that each drawer had a little brass plate screwed onto it. Carefully, he rubbed the dirt off one of the plates and studied it. Miles stared hard. Gradually, he made out the words, "light rain." Miles scratched his head. "Light rain?" he said to himself. "Light rain?" Gingerly, he pulled the drawer open, and much to Miles' disappointment, the drawer was empty. But as he pushed it shut, he felt a drop of water fall down the back of his neck. It had begun to rain. Miles thought nothing of it, but began to explore the other labels. The next one said, "Bright sunshine." Miles pulled the drawer open. It too was empty, but as he opened the drawer, Miles was surprised at how the sun began to shine. Miles realised that there was something very special about this bureau. Sure enough, as soon as he opened the next drawer marked "Thunder," there was an almighty crash, and the whole backyard seemed to tremble. Miles was very excited. Cautiously, he inched open the drawer marked "Torrential Rain," then slammed it shut as a sheet of water crashed down around him. Hurriedly, he tugged open the "Bright Sunshine" drawer, and was relieved to feel the warm sun start to dry him off. By the time Miles had cleaned off all the drawer labels, he had quite a list of different types of weather. Winds were in order from light breezes to hurricanes. There were several types of rain, light showers to monsoons. There were also drawers marked "heavy snow" medium snow, light snow, and assorted hail and ice storms. Then there were several other drawers that offered things like fog, mist, bright sun, thunder, lightning, and even a drawer marked sandstorms. Just to make sure he was not dreaming it all, Miles inched open a drawer marked howling gale, and then slammed it shut as a tremendous gust of wind whipped him off his feet. Miles was on to a winner. His fortune was made. Very carefully he crept into the house, and making sure his parents were not around, he picked up the telephone and rang the local newspaper. "I want to put an advertisement in the paper, please," said Miles politely. "Certainly," said the girl at the newspaper office. "Under which heading?" Miles puzzled over this, then said, I think you had better put it under articles for sale, please." "OK," said the girl. "What is the article?" It's a bit difficult," said Miles. "It's assorted weather." "Did you say assorted leather?" asked the girl. "No, weather," sighed Miles. "Weather?" said the girl, sounding very suspicious. "That's right," replied Miles. So the advertisement was prepared. Assorted weather for sale. Telephone 78910 for full details. Very reasonable rates. The first call came at about 10 minutes past 4. Miles tried to sound businesslike. "Miles, weather supplies," he said. "Hello," said the caller. "Have I read your advert right, mate? Can you actually supply weather?" "Certainly, sir," said Miles. "Well, my name's Jason Furkettle," said the caller, "and I'm sailing this evening. Any chance of a fairly stiff breeze from about 5 o'clock? "Of course," said Miles confidently. "Wind costs 15 pence an hour. Is that OK?" "Fantastic," said Mr. Furkettle. "I'll have 3 hours' worth." "Happy sailing," said Miles as he put the phone down. The telephone rang again. "Miles, weather supplies," said Miles. "JJ Syndrome here," said a very important voice. "Look, Mac, I'm making a movie in these parts, and it would be good if you could fix me some thunder and lightning. It's for a really scary scene, man. Just name your price." Miles gulped. Was this the JJ Syndrome, the film producer? He swallowed hard. Weather is 15 pence per hour, sir." There was a large chuckle from the other end. "Hey, kid, I like the sound of it. Can you let me have it for 5 o'clock this evening?" Surely, said Miles, trying to sound American on the button. "That's my boy," said JJ. "I'll be in touch." By the time 5 o'clock came, Miles had over 30 orders for various bits of weather. The time had come to leave the phone off the hook and to try to see to the orders. And this was where the trouble started. Miles began at the top of the list. Carefully he opened the stiff breeze drawer for Mr. Furkettle. And sure enough, a stiff breeze sprang up. Then there was a blinding flash and a loud crash as he opened the thunder and lightning drawer for JJ Syndrome. Miles then hoped that neither of them would mind that his next order was for an hour of gentle rain for Mrs. Pinkerton's geranium patch. Carefully he eased the drawer marked Gentle Rain open, and right on cue it began to fall. The next order was for the Acom's School of Ski Instruction. who had ordered a foot of fresh snow. Miles carefully pulled open that drawer too. Something was wrong. Certainly the snow had begun to fall, but so had the rain, and it was forming a kind of slush that began ever so slowly drifting into the corners and looked a little bit miserable. Miles looked at the next order. Torrential downpour to top up reservoir for waterboard. Miles tugged the torrential rain drawer open. The rain started to get into Miles's eyes, and the breeze began to blow the order sheets around in the backyard. Miles tried to get the drawer back into its place, but the rain was so fierce he just couldn't see what he was doing. He grabbed at a drawer to try to steady himself. "Oh, no," he wailed. "Now I've done it." Through the water, Miles read the dreaded words, "Hurricane." The whole of the backyard exploded with a great crash of thunder, and then the bureau began to topple towards as a tremendous blast of wind slammed into the back of it. Tiles and chimney pots crashed around Miles, and water began to lap around his ankles. The noise of the thunder and the wind was deafening. Miles watched in horror. As the bureau fell forwards, drawers fell out in all directions. The air was electric with every bit of weather imaginable. Thunder, lightning, hail, rain, winds, ice, snow, floods. Miles was in the centre of it. He closed his eyes and wished he had never found the bureau. Then, just as he thought the end of the world had come, it certainly went quiet. Miles could not believe it. The wind had dropped, and there were only a few flakes of snow, and the rain was easing off. Miles blinked hard and looked at the bureau. A little red drawer was hanging out of the top part. It must have slipped out when the thing toppled over. It was marked, "Emergency Stop." "Thank goodness," breathed Miles. Gingerly, he picked the little drawer up and hugged it to his chest. "You've saved my life," he said to the drawer. Carefully, making sure the emergency stop drawer was well out of the bureau, Miles began to put all the other drawers back. When at last he had finished, and the yard was fairly tidy, he gingerly pushed the emergency stop drawer back into the place too. Then he dragged the bureau onto his cart and set off back to the dump with it. As he trudged up the hill, he decided that controlling the weather was far too responsible a job for himself. "But I suppose someone has to do it," he mused. "I wonder who that is."
Great. Did you enjoy that story? Well, here we are, and we've come outside now, and today the weather is very different than it was yesterday. Yesterday it was bright, hot, sunny days, and today it's wet and windy and a little colder. So, wherever we are in the world, we have weather. It's fascinating, and I hope that you find it fascinating too. Perhaps your mum might come up with a project involving the weather, what type of clouds you have, and the weather that brings. Different types of weather in different parts of the world. There's so much you can do. And if you want any ideas, I'll give you lots of them. Grandma says I give you too many ideas, but then that's Grandma and I'm Grandad. So enjoy your day. And she's just pulling her nose at me because of what I just said. But this is Miles and his Weather Bureau. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to set you a puzzle. The puzzle is there's one form of weather, very important weather, that you cannot see, but it is very powerful. I wonder wonder what it is. Yeah, I'll say that again. Very powerful, but you cannot see it.